Good afternoon, everyone. Namaste. Today we have joined here to talk about how to decode STEM MCQs in the ongoing CENTA International TPO webinar series. Today being the first webinar of the series, I welcome you all to the session. I'm Chaitra Prasad. I'm a senior associate with the physics assessments team, and I have my teammate here, Indira, with me. She's also a senior associate with the chemistry assessments team at CENTA, and both of us will today head the webinar. So, this is the ninth edition of the CENTA International TPO, which is a global competition for teachers, and this is conducted in association with Education World, and our academic partners have been the universities of Santa Cruz, Oxford, and Birmingham. We started CENTA TPO with just 7 cities, which was an offline session where teachers had to come to different examination centers and give the exam. That was back in 2015, and in 2019 we expanded it to 75 cities across 2 countries. And in 2024, apart from CENTA TPO being a fully online and international event, okay, we have about 5,000 regions and which is spread over 70 countries across the globe, which is a really remarkable achievement and in terms of the participation of teachers. In today's webinar, we'll be covering a quick overview of CENTA International TPO. What is it? How is it? And we'll talk about a little of the prelims, the format, the mark scheme, and the competencies covered. We'll see a few sample questions in the STEM tracks, and we'll also give a few pointers on how to prepare for the CENTA International TPO 24. In 2015 to 2019, this was a single stage competition which had only the finals. Okay, and from 2020 onwards, because of a huge number of registrations, we had to change it to a two-stage competition where there was a prelim stage wherein the teachers took a test to qualify for the finals. And in CENTA International TPO 24, we have prelims, which is a test of MCQs only, an online test. And in the finals, we have a video evaluation along with subjective questions. Now, the highlights of the CENTA International TPO 24 are these, which is a fully online test. So we recommend using a laptop or a desktop or a smartphone with an front-facing camera and microphone enabled and a very good internet connection. It is a two-stage test, which means the prelims happen up till March 24th, 24, and 29th, 25, pardon me, March 29th, 2024, and the finals will happen in April 2024. This is an international event, which means participants are across 70 countries last year, and we are expecting much more this year also. The prelims are a 90-minute long 50 MCQs test, the details of which will go into the next slide. Okay, we have a lot of subject tracks across grades, primary, middle school, secondary, and senior secondary. And we have some subjects which are grade agnostic also, which means that can be taken across grades. And in today's webinar, we are concentrating on mathematics, science, secondary and senior secondary, math, physics, biology, and chemistry. And we'll also talk about a little bit of general pedagogy. And these questions, these 50 questions that I talked about, are uh, are based on CENTA standards, and we have different competencies that are being tested. Technical competencies like subject expertise, how much you know about your subject, understanding child and learning diversities, how to teach a subject in technical competency. As in any professional course or professional or in a profession, you have different professional competencies. Like in teaching, also you have self development, teamwork and leadership, problem solving abilities, etc. And we have some core competencies, logical abilities, how do you communicate, and technological abilities. And there are also mindsets, which is student centered mindset, how to involve the parents and the community, etc. And these are all basically the kind of questions that you can expect in the CENTA TQ. Okay. In the TPO prelims, which we call TQ, we'll have these competencies tested. You have 20 questions of subject expertise. Again, as I told you, how much you know about your subject, the core knowledge about your subject, which is amounting to 30 marks. Then you have pedagogical content knowledge, how to teach, what is the pedagogical reasoning behind what you teach, and child diversity, etc. That's about 10 marks. Then you have general pedagogy, how do you transact in the classroom, how do you problem solve, etc. That's 10 questions of 20 marks. And you have questions on professional competencies, again 10 questions of 20 marks. So the total is 50 questions amounting to 80 marks. In the screen, you can see a sample of the question that is seen generally on the online platform. You'll have a question followed by 4 options. You can click on the right option and click on next or submit button. And on the right side of your screen, you're seeing a sample of your report, sample of the kind of report that you get. Each report will be, having different sections: subject expertise, general pedagogy, professional competencies, and also subject specific pedagogy. And each marks will be given accordingly based on how you score. Another benefit of getting the writing the TPO is that you get a very detailed and individual report along with insights. Okay, you have details which have what's the general performance of the teachers across grades, across subjects, and all, and in particular, what can the next steps for you be to improve on your uh, technical abilities or professional abilities, etc. So these insights will provide a lot of advantage for you. Okay, so CENTA International TPO is reward, recognize, and celebrate. We celebrate teachers. Let us look at CENTA International TPO, some sample questions. In the first section, we look at mathematics and physics in particular, going to the subject expertise questions. Let's look at this question. Shanti has an ATM card for which the secret pin is a 4-digit number. These 4-digit number is divisible by 12 and has at least 2 even numbers in the pin. So which of these numbers cannot be the secret pin? I'll give you 15 seconds. You can put your answers in the chat box. The correct answer is D, 8394. If you look at the first three answers, 4272 or 4632 or 8184, all of them have at least 3 even numbers in their digits. And also, all the first three are divisible by 12. Only the final answer, which is 8394, is not divisible by 12. So that is the correct answer. The next question, this is in the secondary mathematics track. An abandoned area of 25 square kilometers has a parking spot, okay, with area 10 square kilometers. A truck goes missing in this abandoned area. If the truck can be anywhere in the area, what is the probability that it is outside the parking spot? Okay, so what could the answer be? Just take a quick guess. So here, the truck we know for sure is within the 25 square kilometers, and it is not within the 10 square kilometers. This is the information that we have. Okay. So the let's say we know the truck is surely within 25 square kilometers, which means that probability is 1. And we know it is not within 10 square kilometers. So that probability is 10 by 25, which is 2 by 5. So if it is not within 2 by 5, then we do 1 minus 2 by 5, which means the answer is answer B, 3 by 5. Okay. Go to the next question, please. This is a subject expertise question from middle school science track. Okay, and the topic is effects of friction. Rubbing two stones together increases the temperature of both the stones and eventually results in a fire. What kind of energy is primarily responsible for the same? Remember, before we had, uh, you know, automatic lighters. Okay, early man used to get fire by rubbing two stones. Okay, so where did this energy to get the fire come from? Did it come from radiation energy from the sun? Probably not. Okay. Did it come from friction energy between the stones? Maybe. Was it heat transferred from one stone to the other? Probably not. Was it heat energy from the ground absorbed by the stones? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. Okay. The correct answer is B, friction and energy between the two stones. Okay. Next, choose the correct statement in the following. Okay. Oh, sorry, I found it. Choose the correct statement. Extrinsic semiconductors behave as insulators at 0 degrees centigrade. Is that correct? Okay. I-type semiconductors are the semiconductors with trivalent impurities. Number of excited electrons and the number of holes are equal in undoped semiconductors. And conductivity of an intrinsic semiconductor is very high at room temperature. We have a participant saying B, we have two participants saying B. Others, please put in your answers. And B. Now, here I would want you to remember the difference between doped and undoped semiconductors. Okay, just pay a little bit attention over there. So, we have a participant saying C as the answer. So, the correct answer is C. Okay. In an undoped semiconductor, the number of excited electrons and the number of holes are equal. Okay. Moving on to the next question. This next session is the pedagogical content knowledge, which has a weightage of 10 marks per paper. There are 10 questions of each in it. The first question is this. Mr. Sujay wants to introduce the concept of integration in his class. Which of the following is the best hook relevant for this purpose? You know, hook in any class is basically how you get the students excited. Okay, so what are the lines that you say, and what are the questions you ask? What is the story that you tell to get the students excited into your class? So that is a hook. So in this, if you want to introduce the concept of integration, would you say, how do you define integration in a class? Would that get your students excited? Or how will you find the antiderivative of a function? Is that a hook? Will that get the students excited and think in the right direction? How will you find the area of a complex shape? Now that is something the students will get excited. This for a 12th grade senior secondary level integration class. And if you are given the area under a curve, then what is the operation that you use? This is something very close. So most students are saying, most of the participants are saying B, some are saying C, again, some are saying C. Can I have some more answers quickly, please? C. Okay, people who have answered C, if you can quickly write a one-liner about your, why do you think the answer is C? Okay, the correct answer is, how do you find the area of a complex curve, complex shape? Okay, so how do you find the antiderivative of a function? Even though it is a good, starter, first you have to define what is an antiderivative, and then the students will have to think about it, and then you will have to start off with complex shape. But if you start off with area of a complex shape, that will get more students involved in the class. So that is why C is the correct answer. Moving on. This is a physics PCK, pedagogical content knowledge question. A teacher carries materials for children to construct a wooden bow and arrow in the class. This teaching resource is least valid to teach which of the following concepts? A teacher carries materials for children to construct a wooden bow and arrow. Which resource is least, this resource is least valid to teach which of the following concepts? Interconversion of energy, distance time graph, Newton's third law of motion, or centripetal force. To answer this question, think about what is the kind of motion that you observe in a bow and arrow. How does the arrow fly? Okay. What happens when you release an arrow? So that's the kind of thought process you should have. Conversion of energy. You can easily teach how the potential energy in the string is converted to kinetic energy of the arrow. If you measure the distance traveled by the arrow in a certain time, you can do distance time graph. Action and reaction are always equal, that can be taught in this. Centripetal force is something that you cannot teach, because centripetal force requires motion in a curve, or a motion along a circle. But then the arrow is motion along a straight line. So centripetal force is something that you cannot easily teach by using this teaching resource. Okay. So onward to Ms. Indira for the next section.
Thank you, Chaitra. Good evening, everyone. So we begin with the chemistry and biology section. For the subject expertise, which carries a weightage of 30 marks, this is one of the first sample questions. An irreversible change from the following is. So in the options, we have 4 irreversible changes, 4 examples of changes. Reversible or irreversible, that you decide. That's what the question is all about. Option A is squeezing water from the sponge. Option B, compacting concrete. Option C is making a tar using cards. And option D is melting of ice. So, which of these do you think? I've got enough answers. Rahul Gupta says option B. Ruchika ma'am says option D. Okay. Meenu Tyagi also says option D. It is an irreversible change. Asha ma'am says option A, squeezing water from the sponge. Okay, so 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No more answers. All right, no problem. So let's look at the right answer. The right answer is option B, which is compacting concrete. You squeeze water from a sponge. Then again, you dip the sponge in a bucket of water, bucket or a mug of water. Again, you take it out, you again squeeze it. It is a reversible change, right? Now, making a tar using cards. You switch on the fan, all the tar will get demolished. You switch off the fan, again you start building the tar. The process can go on. Similarly, for melting ice, you take a block of ice, you keep it out under the sun or under the table, anywhere except the freezer. The ice will melt from water. You take that little bit of water and you keep it back into the freezer. Again, it will form ice. So that is also a reversible change. Concrete is not like that. Concrete is mixture of sand, cement, gravel, water. And once it is set, even if you break it, you don't get that same ingredients back. All you get is a lot of powdery substances. So compacting concrete is an irreversible change. Moving on to the next question. This is the previous question, by the way, it was a middle school science. I'll just switch on my laser pointer so that it's easier. Yeah. The previous question was a middle school science question on the topic physical and chemical changes. The next question, now this is a senior secondary level question on basic concepts of chemistry. Consider the reaction A plus B2 giving X C2. 150 atoms of A react with 100 molecules of B to produce X moles of C2. Which of the following represent a limiting reagent of the reaction? Limiting reagent of the reaction. So I give about 10 seconds and your time has already started. So Shalini ma'am says D. Any other responses? Okay. Rahul sir says A. Kritika says B. Okay. Krishna also says A. All right, all right. So that is way more than 10 seconds. It went up to 35 seconds now. So we reveal the answer, and the correct answer is A. Option A, that is reactant A, is the correct answer. That is the limiting reagent, because the limiting reagent is the one that actually stops the progress of a reaction. Moving on. The next question, this is from biology section. Which part of the neuron is responsible for controlling the entire functioning? The part of the neuron responsible for controlling the entire functioning of the neuron. And you have another 10 seconds. So I get a lot of responses saying A. Okay, another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 5 and a half. No, sorry, 5, 4 and a half, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I have quite a few responses that say C and A. Most of them are saying A. All right. Axons are responsible for the transmission of the impulses. Okay. So it is not responsible for controlling the entire function of the neuron. The part of the neuron that's responsible for controlling the entire function is the nucleus, because nucleus is the central core of a neuron. And so it is responsible for controlling the functioning of a neuron. Moving on. Which of the following symptoms in plants indicate the mineral toxicity in plants? Which of the following symptoms indicate mineral toxicity? Excessive growth of primary root in herbs, excessive growth of leaves around the lower part of the stem, appearance of brown spots surrounded by chlorotic veins, or appearance of necrotic spots surrounded by chlorotic veins. Which of these? You have again 10 seconds. Tick, tick 1, tick, tick 2. And I've started getting the answers. Okay, Asha ma'am says D, Meenu says C, Nisha says C, Hima says D. Okay, and the correct answer is actually C. Appearance of brown spots. That is actually a mineral toxicity. If you look at the necrotic spots, it's generally not mineral toxicity. Okay, necrotic spots generally are indicative of an infection or a disease. All right. Moving on, we go to pedagogical content knowledge with a weightage of 10 marks. That is, as Chaitra said before, 10 questions, each carrying 1 mark. Here is the first question. Your students are confused between wrist and elbow movement. Wrist and elbow movement. Which of the following would help them remediate this misconception? Drawing the hand on board and labeling the parts, asking the students to hold the wrist and lift the elbow, bringing a model of skeleton to class and giving a demo, or making the students play badminton, wherein the wrist and elbow movements are used extensively. I have already begun receiving the answers, and most of them say D. Okay. Now let us analyze. Yes, Anuja says C, Hema also says C. Now let us analyze the options one by one. Drawing the hand on the board and labeling the parts. That would generally not be really helpful because students are basically confused between this and this. Okay. Simply because this is connected. So this movement, they are not able to distinguish whether it is only the wrist or is it only the elbow. Okay. So drawing the hand on board and labeling all the different parts may not be very effective. Okay, I won't say it is not at all effective. Yes, it would be, but it may not be very effective. Option C, bringing a model of skeleton to the class and giving a demo. Yes, here children would, however, end up labeling all the different bones, naming the different bones. They are not very much able to experience the movement per se. All right. Then going to D. D is a very close call, making the students play badminton, wherein the wrist and elbow movements are used extensively. Now, this is a very effective option, provided students first know wrist and elbow movement. After that, you make them play badminton and let the children distinguish the movements. That will help them reinforce the concept. But first, in order to distinguish, you hold the wrist and you ask the child to move the elbow. Right? So that is why B is the correct answer. Okay. Moving on to the next one. This is a senior secondary chemistry question. The previous one was biology question. Which of the following statements given by students show the most conceptual clarity with respect to crystal lattice? Yes, Manjula ma'am, I have seen your comment. Option D, he can learn practically and visually. Are you talking about the previous question, ma'am, or is it about the crystal lattice? Can you please specify that? If it is a previous question, I will come back to you for discussing that. Okay. All right. Now moving on to this question about crystal lattice. Which of the statement given by the students show the most conceptual clarity? 1, increase in number of atoms per unit cell and packing efficiency are directly proportional. Then B, in FCC, that is face-centered cubic lattice, there will be 4 tetrahedral voids, since there are 4 atoms per unit cell. Then C, there is an inverse relation between atoms in a unit cell and the number of tetrahedral voids that are formed. And D, the density of unit cell for the lattice of a metal is the same as the density of the metal. Okay, Manjula ma'am says it's a previous question. Yes, ma'am. 1 minute. We'll finish this question and then we'll go back to the previous question. Okay. All right. Now, with respect to crystal lattice, which statement do you think is providing the most conceptual clarity? All right. Anshu ma'am says D. Isha ma'am says D. Meenu says D. Ruchika ma'am says D. Okay. I'm getting a lot of D's. All right. So actually the answer is D. Density of unit cell for the lattice of a metal is the same as the density of the metal. That's what crystal lattice talks all about, right? More than the number of voids or the number of atoms per unit cell, basically it's all about the density. All right. Okay. Now, going back to previous question on wrist and elbow movement. Manjula ma'am had said that option D helps the child learn both practically as well as visually. Yes, it does help the child learn elbow and wrist movement both practically and visually. Also, at the same time, first, the child has to know the difference between wrist movement and elbow movement or this elbow movement. Okay, so that is the reason. First, hold the wrist and lift the elbow. That is the option. After that, once that is done, then you come to reinforcement, wherein you go to option D. You ask the child to play badminton, and then they learn it both visual. That is more like an experiential learning that the child gets. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the feedback so that we could discuss a little more in detail on this question. Okay, now moving on with general pedagogy. The weightage is 20 marks. In general pedagogy, the common pedagogical practices are tested over here. Here is the first question. Which of the following is an ideal first step to encourage the student participation in the classroom? Which of these four options do you think is the first step? A, assigning rigorous activities for classwork. B, organizing a parent-teacher meeting more frequently. C, fostering a positive and inclusive classroom culture. Or D, incentivizing only those students asking smart questions. Yes, the answer is indeed option C, fostering a positive and inclusive classroom culture. Because unless there is a joyful and engaging classroom environment, it is very difficult for the children to learn in a stress-free environment, right? The more the happiness, the more you learn, right? And then you later go and apply it in the stressful environments. That's a different story. But yes, so fostering a positive and inclusive classroom culture is the correct answer. Next one, professional competencies, as Chaitra had shared. Like in every other field, in the field of teaching also, there are some professional, there is a certain level of professionalism that is expected that we exhibit. So we just delve a little deeper into that. And here is a sample question for you. Parents and guardians are to be informed about the change in the fee payment method at their ward's school. Which of the following is the best way to communicate this? Option A is making the announcement in classes so that students go home and inform their parents. Option B, organize a PTM and explain the same thing to the parents. Option C, send a direct notification to parents with all the necessary details. And option D, get an admin personnel to call each and every parent individually and talk to them about the change. Okay, I've begun receiving the answers. So it's a mix of B and C, I think. Okay, it's majority C that is coming in. Nice, nice. Okay, there is one D also. Hima ma'am also says D. Thank you, Manjula ma'am. Okay. All right. So, option D is quite a close call. But imagine a school with 1,500 students. Getting the admin to call up each and every parent is slightly not so practical approach, right? Now, option B, organizing a PTM and explaining the same thing to the parents. In the PTMs, generally again, okay, we talk about the student, right? We don't talk about the school, the other aspects of the school administration or running the school, isn't it? Then A is also possible, but again, going going back home and telling them that there's been a change in the fee payment pattern or the fee payment method, why would the students do that? Because the students are coming to school to basically study, right? So a practical approach would be C, which is sending a direct notification to the parents. Okay, children can inform their parents, they can give a heads up, but an official intimation has to be made, right? So sending a direct notification to the parents with all the necessary details is a more logical option, simply because that becomes an official record. Okay, so with that, we come towards the end of the sample questions. Now, the next is we go to how to prepare for the CENTA International TPO, right? Now, here we have in the CENTA app, okay, we have the TPO resources group, then we have subject wise sample questions. We have also there are competency wise sample questions. You go to learning section in the app, go to free resources, and there you will find all the PDFs along with the explanations. Okay. Now for sample question explanation videos, all you have to do is to type CENTA in the search bar of the app. The search bar is there on top. You just type CENTA and you get a list of videos for the sample explanation videos. Okay, then also you can access through the free resources, you can access all the recorded webinars and the free learning resources. And we also have live webinars, which is a TPO special series. I'll share the schedule in a moment. Before that, I would just like to touch upon the number of GP and PC questions, because we have mentioned the weightage as 20 marks. 20 marks for GP and 20 marks for PC, but we have 10 questions. Okay, 10 questions in the GP section and 10 questions in the PC section. That is, each question carries a weightage of 2 marks. So that way we have 10 multiplied by 2, which is 20 marks for GP and 20 marks for PC. Now, moving on. Today we have an exclusive opportunity for all those who have attended this webinar. You can register right away. You can fill the TPO form and submit and pay for the exam. You can use the discount coupon code. There's a special promo code for all those who have attended this particular webinar, and it is going to be live for the next 24 hours. Use the promo code as STEM30 and avail a discount of 30% for the TPO exams. And as we mentioned earlier, we have upcoming sessions on TPO along with the sample MCQs. The English subject is on 22nd of Jan, social science on 29th of Jan, early childhood and education on 5th of Feb, and school leader track on the 12th of Feb. So this is our schedule for the upcoming sessions on sample MCQs. Now I throw the floor open for questions. Any questions, please shoot it in the comment box. Okay, I see there was one question on how many questions are there and the marks allotted. So once again, I'll just go through. Subject expertise, the total is 30 marks. Okay. Then we have GPPC section. GP is 20 marks and PC is 20 marks. In also we have in subject expert, apart from subject expertise, we also have subject based PCK, that is pedagogical content knowledge, which is for 10 marks. So there are totally 4 sections. Subject expertise, that is your core subject, which tests thoroughly on the conceptual knowledge. Then is the PCK, which is subject based PCK. So if you're giving middle school science paper, then the PCK would be on science, middle school science, pedagogical practices. Okay, and the like. Then is GP, that is general pedagogy, which is of 20 marks. 10 questions, 20 marks. Then is professional competency, again 10 questions and 20 marks. Okay, so that is the distribution of marks throughout in the TPO. Any other questions? Where will so the final exams are online. You would be getting your login details, etc., before the exams. If qualified for the so you just have to register for the TPO. If you've qualified, then there is a registration link that would be sent. Okay. All right. So I think we come towards the end of the session. There's a feedback form that is shared with the webinar code 4261, which is a code of today's webinar. Please fill the feedback session. And also include any points you think we should be covering in the upcoming webinars. Please do include that in your feedback form. Okay, so I just stop my screen share. Yeah. Okay, somebody wants to see the resource page. Please give me a moment. I'll show the resource page once again. Yeah. I hope my screen is visible. Yes, it's coming in. Yeah. So to get the resources in the CENTA app, you have to go to learning section. So we have subject-wise resources on the CENTA app. For that, you go to the learning section, click on free resources. In free resources, you have all the PDF saved with the respective subject name. Okay, and the PDFs contain sample questions along with the explanation for every incorrect or correct answer. All right. Then we have explanation for sample questions in the form of videos. For that, you just type CENTA in the search bar and you would get the sample explanation videos. And there are also recorded webinars and a lot of free learning resources that can be used in the classrooms as well. So please take full advantage of the resources that we have by going to the learning section. In learning section, we have a section called free resources. Please use that. All right. Okay. Yeah, the promo code that is asked in the feedback form, please ignore that. Okay. And the coupon code for CENTA International TPO is STEM30, STEM, all in capitals, without space, 3030. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.